Well, hello, this is Linda from North Central Texas, and today I decided I was going to fix some pasta, and I was going to show you how I fix pasta sauce with eggplant, my homegrown garlic, my homegrown eggplants, my basil from out of the garden, and I also had made some homemade spaghetti sauce that I had in the freezer. And the recipe usually calls for a can of tomatoes, but since I had already made some sauce with my fresh tomatoes from the garden, I decided I was just going to take a small container of that and defrost it and then use that in my recipe. So first of all, we're going to get our pan hot, and I already cubed up some eggplant right here. And this is the kind of eggplant I'm using. This is eggplant right out of the garden. I had so many eggplant, I had to come up with ways to use it and go ahead and cook it. So I decided today I was going to take 4 or 5 of the big ones and make some pasta sauce using my eggplants. So I just heated up about 1/3 cup of olive oil, virgin olive oil, in my frying pan. And what I'm going to do, and see, I've already salted my eggplant. I had salted it in water and let it set for about 10 minutes already. And I just drained it, so I have already done that. But I'm just going to go ahead and put that in my pan. I know the pan is not frying hot yet, but it will be. And I'm going to go ahead and just salt it a tiny bit, because I did rinse the salt off of it. And in the meantime, I'm going to get my pot boiling for my water to cook my pasta in, because it usually takes a while to cook that. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to the water. And the rest, if you're going to cook for a lot of people, you might want to use a whole pound of eggplant. It's just me, so I'm using a small amount. I only used about 4 of my eggplants for this recipe, because this is going to give me enough pasta to eat for a couple of days, and I don't want to be eating pasta for a week. I mean, I can freeze a little bit of the leftovers if I want. So but you just want to go ahead and fry that till it's browned. You'll find when you start growing a garden, you're going to have so many vegetables, you're not going to know what to do with all of them. You're going to have to come up with recipes to be able to use the vegetables you're getting out of your garden. And this is just one instance of it. It's, coming up with ways to use my eggplant. And I'm using the eggplant instead of meat in my sauce. I know a lot of times you just put like ground beef in your spaghetti sauce or your pasta sauce. And in this case, I'm just using eggplant. And you can use tubular pasta or any kind of pasta that might have like a hole in it, to where it kind of holds your sauce. I'm using this little tubular pasta right here. You know what? I forgot to turn my light on back here. That might help a little bit, huh? Yeah, but I'm using this tubular pasta in my recipe today. But you can use, like, shell pastas, any type of pasta that you want. I prefer the tubular or the shell so the sauce can get up in the pasta. Takes a little bit to cook it, but it's not a difficult recipe. It's a real easy recipe because I'm all about easy. And I decided this is a quick and easy recipe today to fix for my lunch. It'll be my lunch and my dinner all together, I guess, or dinner and supper, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, I just took my sauce out of the microwave because, like I said, I had it in a container and I had it frozen. So instead of using canned tomatoes, I'm just going to use my homemade tomato sauce that I had already prepared for my tomatoes back the first of the summer. I had a decent crop of tomatoes before it got so hot. But once that 105 and 110 degree weather hit, my poor tomatoes, they just quit producing. But I was able to store 4 or 5 containers of tomato sauce, plus what I ate. So, and this is not typical of Texas. This is the hottest summer that I think we've had since I've lived in Texas. I mean, it's gotten up to 105 degrees before. And it may have even hit 110 before, but it didn't stay anywhere from 105 to 110 for almost 2 months in a row, and no rain. I mean, this is the first summer we've had that. So this is the worst summer I think I've had since I've lived in Texas, and I've been here for over 40 years, so that's saying something. Hopefully next summer we'll have a better summer without these extreme heated temperatures and a little bit more rain. So my garden will probably do even better. The eggplant doesn't seem to mind the heat. I mean, they grew and did well right on through the heat we had, as long as you keep it watered. And of course, I'm mostly watered with my compost tea, so that helped a lot. Okay, put my pasta in there because I'm going to use all of it. There was not that much left in the box. Because if I don't eat it all with the eggplant and the sauce, I can make a salad with it, a cold salad. And you can see I cut my eggplant in about 1 inch, maybe not quite 1 inch little cubes. I mean, you can cut it up however you want, but that's about the size I prefer to cut it in when I'm putting it in a sauce. But that sauce looks real good. Still got my bay leaf down in there, but that's okay. Take it out when I go to eat it. As I told you in the beginning of my series, I love pastas and that type of thing because I am part Italian. My great-grandparents came over from Italy in the 1800s and became American citizens. And, you know, I didn't eat strictly Italian, but there was a lot of Italian dishes that were put into our menus when I was growing up. Probably should have put that on earlier. Would have had it already almost done by now. Yeah, I do love, that's one of my downfalls. I love food, I love pasta, love all kind of pasta dishes. Usually anything that's a little bit fattening I love. And of course pasta, you know, the pasta itself is the fattening part, not so much the eggplant or the sauce. As you can see, it's getting a little brown. And that's what we want. Because like I said, this is our meat in the dish. And I've never claimed to be a perfect cook, so you might know better ways to do this than I do, but this is the way I do it. I like it nice and toasty brown. Kind of hard to get some of them flipped over, but I probably used not a third cup of olive oil. I used about a quarter cup. Maybe not even that much. Just enough to coat the bottom of the pan real good. Now what I'm going to do is take my eggplant out and just put it in a small bowl. Now what I'm going to do is put about to lose my fork. I'm going to turn the heat down just a tiny bit. Don't want things burning. I've got about 3 cloves of garlic already crushed that I'm putting in there. And I've got about a teaspoonful of crushed red pepper. just brown that just a little bit. I've got about a tablespoon of oregano, crushed oregano. And then I'm going to add my tomatoes. Still have that a little bit too hot. But this is live cooking. You're going to see the boo-boos as well as the good parts. So and I've already got basil and oregano, garlic, and all that stuff in my tomato sauce that I had already, so I don't have to add any more of that. I will be adding basil at the end, and that's just as a garnish on top. And now I'm going to add my eggplant right back to the dish. Now, anytime I can get fresh tomatoes to use in sauces, I do, because it tastes so much better than canned tomatoes. I mean, canned tomatoes are great, but I grew up eating fresh tomatoes because my mom and dad always had a big garden. They grew tons of tomatoes and stuff like that. So she would always can her tomatoes. Can them or freeze them. And when she got ready to make a pasta dish, spaghetti, anything like that, she used those fresh grown canned tomatoes in her sauce. And I got spoiled to that. I mean, I'll eat the ready-made pasta sauce and all that, but I prefer to have the fresh grown tomatoes. Now, while my pasta's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and let that sauce just simmer a little bit. Sorry about that. My allergies sure have not gone anywhere. They're right here. I'm making a mess. But I'm not fancy, and I'm not, you know, I don't mind showing you my little bloopers. I mean, for one person, this is plenty pasta sauce. I mean, I'll get several meals out of that. I know. Put that down and put those in so I don't get it all over the counter again. But I'm sure you have your own favorite recipes for using eggplant, homegrown tomatoes, your homegrown basil, garlic, all of that stuff you grow in the garden. It's getting dry and dusty again, so my allergies are kicking in. I've been coughing and gagging and everything being out in the yard these last few days. I love it when it rains because it settles down the air, it cleans the air out, and I can finally breathe without coughing and sneezing. But you just want to leave that pan on a really low heat and just simmer it. And it's looking good already. I'm ready to eat. And like I said, if I was cooking for more people, I'd probably use a whole pound of eggplant and probably 28-ounce can or about 28 ounces of tomatoes. And I'd be cooking a lot larger quantity, but since it's just me, I don't cook that much. I mean, I don't cook that large quantities, or I try not to. Pasta's getting there. And as you can see, I went out there and got me some fresh basil right out of my garden. I need to go out there and break a bunch of it because it's going to be seeding up if I don't. Put some more in the dehydrator. And by the way, whenever I dehydrated my peppermint the other day, I went out there and I was able, out of all of my plants, that I completely filled up my dehydrator with just peppermint. So I got a whole jar of peppermint. I ended up with this jar right here of peppermint, dried peppermint. So I'll have that to make tea out of. And I've got a bunch more I need to be picking and dehydrate that too. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. Pasta's about half done. Yeah, I should have started that sooner. I got wrapped up in getting everything else going. Let me try this piece and see how done it is. Get it cooled off. It's about half done. I was surprised too when I was out there spraying my garden, and when I picked my cantaloupe, I actually found a couple of small watermelon. So I'll be able to pick hopefully a watermelon pretty soon. I had several different kinds. I had the little mini sugar babies, which they're a hybrid, and they don't turn completely green. I mean, dark green when they're ripe. They still have a light green stripe, which I thought was neat. And then I planted, or I didn't plant, I had a watermelon vine that came up in the compost that went all over the yard. It had a couple of small watermelons on it too, so we'll see what happens with that one. But that's a bigger watermelon. And the ones I planted were the small, maybe 4-pound watermelon, 4 to 5 pounds, about the size of a large cantaloupe, because I didn't want a great big watermelon. I cut a watermelon and I'm eating it for over a week. Lucky if I eat it before it spoils. So my sauce will be done probably by the time the pasta is. And I could have put more eggplant in there. I just was kind of guessing. and how much to put in there versus, you know, the tomato sauce that I had in that container. And of course, all my peelings are going in my compost. Everything that comes from the kitchen that's food-wise, it goes in my compost. I can give you a tip. The peelings, your green leaves, stuff like that that you get out of the garden are the best to put in your totes and your buckets when you're composting in place, because you have less ants that want to go to that tote or that 5-gallon bucket. If you'll put your food scraps in your compost tea bucket, it'll break down just in a matter of days, and you'll be able to water those plants when they come up with that compost tea, and you have the benefits of all of the food scraps that you dumped in it. But yeah, if you want to avoid the ants, just use your green leaves like collard leaves, kale leaves, any leaves that you break off of your plants that might turn yellow. When you go through your garden and you're cleaning up and you're breaking all the yellow leaves off, and some leaves that don't look too good, you know, just throw them in your pile to put in your compost when you build your totes and your buckets. And then after it all breaks down in your compost tea bucket, when you get to the bottom of it, usually you'll have a lot of well, I do. I have the vines and stuff that I threw in there, and you know, it looks like strings in the bottom of my bucket. I can dip all that stuff out because it's broken down. I take all that stuff, and that's what I put in my 5-gallon buckets and my totes to do my composting in place, because it's already partially broken down, and it works real well. Okay, let's try this again and see how we're coming on our pasta. Fixing to do something you've probably not seen before. It's cooked done enough, but I prefer to leave some of it in there and let it cook a little bit more. But I'm getting over anxious with this dish. I want to eat some pasta. And I'm going to sprinkle some, they say to grate up Parmesan cheese on it, but I don't have any of the chunk Parmesan, so I'm just going to use my grated Parmesan that I've already got. And then just break up your basil. And that basil itself smells so good. But that is a good dish right there. I've got to try some. It's not so hot it burns my mouth. That is good. Y'all, that's a winner right there. So, there's your dish for your basil, your tomatoes, your eggplant, your garlic, your onions, and all that you grow in your garden. Because I had, like I said, I had already fixed the tomato sauce. And of course I had put garlic and onions and all that stuff in there already. So, great way to use your garden vegetables in your meals. And I'm going to sit down and enjoy this plate of pasta because that's my breakfast and lunch today. And I will catch you on my next video. Like, share, and subscribe to my videos, and all of you have a blessed day.